The equinox is a time of balance. And it is a portal, one of those crossroads that we meet in mythology, where the divine presence can reach us more easily. And of course, oftentimes in our busyness with the surface experience, we miss these openings. The intelligence of life is always loving us, reaching for us, breathing us, feeding us. And sometimes we forget that the divine is a relationship, and that it requires our engagement. Relationship in itself is a field, it's itself an opening where we can feel ourselves and experience ourselves as a connectivity more than a single entity or a point. We become waves. And these waves are in the Nordic mythology described as the vird, as a web. So as an energetic, if you can imagine an energetic spider web permeating through all things. And that the vibrations in this web is what creates what we experience as solid form, even solid selves. And none of us are outside this web. And each one of us have a place and a purpose in this web. As we are tuning into the Goddess Freya, our sadhana begins in April. We are tuning into an intelligence, a specific frequency in the web and within ourselves. And Freya, she has a similar frequency to the springtime. There is an exuberance and a beautiful creativity that she invites us into. There is a joy of being that she mirrors to us. And she invites us into a very fine discernment, a very fine intimacy with beingness, in the way that it uniquely expresses itself through each one of us. You may have experienced some periods of struggles or resistance or kind of obstacles and density in your creativity. And oftentimes this is when we are just not fully in alignment with our own unique beingness. To be you is easy. There's no one who can do you better than you. And how can we tune into this ease of being, which instantly brings us into a fulfillment not dependent on any result, any future form or becoming. When we tune into the ease of our own being, we are in becoming, we are in blooming, until we are not. We move into the composting, offering ourselves back into the web. And this alignment is symbolized by the staff. The staff is a spiritual tool in the Nordic path, developed and nourished through the woman's magical arts. And when we meet the staff and the sword even in mythology, it brings us back into our very own bodies, and through our bodies into that deeper energetic field. And a simple way to tune into the staff is to tune into your own spine, your own core. And here we are falling into the quality of balance. It becomes like a true north within you that helps you navigate through the different activities and distractions that we are faced with in our modern lifestyle today. So just as many of us are beginning to clearing up the land and the gardens, and soon it's time to turn the soil and perhaps plant seeds, we can bring this kind of attention and care to our inner being and body, to our core, to our inner staff, to our spine. So I invite you to make it a priority to bring your care, attention, and your breath to the center of your body. And make your awareness very fine-tuned, like subtle antennas within, that just begin to weave you in to your own core, to your own center, to your own balance. And in that, you are brought into an intimacy and connection with the vast creative field that you are a part of. To make it a priority and an act of devotion, to strengthen your core. And there are many ways we do this. Just simply by breathing into your center to bring your awareness to the spine. Already here you are moving in the direction. And think about practice as a direction more than a goal. Sometimes we think that it is the result of our practice that is the gift. And we oftentimes end up in this eternal waiting for that moment when we're going to arrive. But the Goddess practice brings us into a path that is the direction. It is the direction that brings to fulfillment. And the good news about that is that there is no waiting for that. There is no later. It is to tune into what is already here, even in the midst of turmoil. You can always bring your being and awareness in this direction. And the beauty is that it is as if you are reaching a hand inside. There is a hand reaching for you. Like when you surrender into a current in a river. You're falling into a creative flow that is yourself. And remember, there is no easier thing in the world than to be yourself. So to breathe into the center, into the core, into the spine. You're already living in the direction of yourself and the big self. And to tune into what you love. To tune into what really matters to you in this lifetime, in this form. To not diminish it and value other people's definition of meaning above your own. This is also bringing you into that direction of the inner rod and the balance. What do you love? What is important? In one way, our spiritual practice is like a stripping down of all the borrowed clothes that has been handed down to us, and to sift through. Sometimes the inner staff, that center of balance, becomes a sword. And this can maybe for some feel harsh or sharp. But remember, it is a symbol mirroring to us a quality of consciousness that cuts through the fog, the misunderstandings, the ignorance. Ignorance means to ignore. When we ignore what really matters to us. And tuning in again to that quality of such a fine sharpness of consciousness. We discover that, maybe perhaps the way I spend my mornings is just a default. I'm just kind of allowing my energy to get sucked in a way that I didn't choose. Or the way I prioritize my day. Where what some kind of vague mass gets to decide what is truly valuable and meaningful. And again, this is not something that happens in our thinking mind first. Of course, it may appear as thoughts and images, but it's important to tune in our inner antennas to the felt sense of that discernment of consciousness, that sword in the core. And just think about the sword not as a solid thing, but like space that has a crystal-like sharpness to it. And how can you allow your whole body and being, your thoughts, your feelings fall into place around this kind of center within you? Using your breath, it's more like a falling in, more than a creating and thinking outwardly. That will come. But at this time of equinox of balance, we want to just take this opportunity of this portal that is open here to root our actions, to root our words, our thoughts, our feelings in a deeper place so they can arise aligned and true to what we are here to live and give, and what we are here to be. And the perhaps challenging part of that intention and practice is that what you are here to be has no comparison. It's uniquely yours. How honest and kind and honoring will you be towards your own self? And contrary to the belief that that is a selfish or self-centered way of living, in fact, this kind of connection, it's the only way we can bring wisdom in to this mess that we have created in the world today. And how you can bring wisdom and connection in to your relationships, to your creativity work, and to your own body, and to the land that you are breathing right now, the land that you are inseparable from. So self-centered is perhaps the kindest and it's in its deepest sense the easiest way to live. Not that our actions and our tasks are always easy. That we all know it's not true. But a lot of our complexity and suffering comes from this leaning away from our core connection. One of Freya's animals is the cat. And I invite you, if you feel called to bring this into practice, I invite you to bring in the quality of a kitten, of a cat. And the ease that she has in her body. Just see if you can, instead of making it in your practice into an effort, making your projects into a should, how can you breathe into your pelvis, into your spine, and begin to undulate your spine and your tail like a cat, and see if you can search for that ease and playfulness. And remember that Freya, she is the joy arising from being, from just being you. The closer you come to you, the closer you become. You come to the exuberance and magnificent creativity that is this luminous virud, the web of life. Happy equinox.